Hey, Stoic soul, you walk through life carrying a silent hope. If you give enough, rescue enough, pour light into lost souls, maybe some of that grace will find its way back to you. But you wake up tired, you give, and they take more. Their chaos multiplies in your mind, until even your peace feels polluted. You sacrifice sleep for their storms and call it kindness. But the Stoics warned us, you cannot pour from an empty vessel, and some storms do not want to pass. If what you save destroys your calm, you are not helping. You are enabling destruction. So tonight, we meet the 10 dangerous souls who sharpen their shadows on your good intentions. But breathe, slow down. This is not a warning. It's a lesson in sovereignty. Walk with me. You know this person. Their thirst for rescue is infinite. You arrive with buckets of support, time, money, advice, and watch as every drop vanishes. Each time you try to help, their appetite grows hungrier. Their gratitude lasts as long as a whisper. The Stoics knew some people have holes in their hearts that your love cannot fill. But you keep pouring, convinced salvation is just over the next hill. But each hill simply reveals another need. It's like hiking through an emotional desert, and your water bottle of patience is now just full of sand, and the occasional tumbleweed of false hope. You show up to their latest crisis and find a new excuse. This time, an uncle's cat surgery bill, or a tragic case of my phone fell in the toilet and now I can't text my ex. You wonder, am I enabling or actually helping? Epictetus would likely sigh, sip his lukewarm tea, and remind you, it is not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them. In other words, maybe it's time to put down the bucket. The deeper truth is that the drain collects rescuers with Olympic-level skill, a collector of well-intentioned friends who end up as empty as that metaphorical bucket. It's not intentional malice. Think of them more as a vacuum cleaner on Black Friday, sucking up every bit of reassurance, validation, and Venmo payment in their path. The laws of Stoic physics apply. No matter how much comfort you deliver, it disappears down a vortex of ever-expanding want. Trying to save the drain is like rescuing a goldfish by throwing it into the ocean. It's dramatic, wet, and mostly confusing for everyone involved. But here's the Stoic twist. Your feeling of being needed is often just a silent hope that this time your help will flip the script. You'll be the one to fix it, to steady their chaos like Seneca plotting out a calm voyage. Yet, Stoicism whispers, are you fixing them, or just avoiding your own discomfort with their pain? Our urge to save the drain grants us the sweet illusion of control, but the only thing you can ever truly control, Marcus Aurelius would wag his philosophical finger here, is your own response, not their bottomless cup. As your nights are sliced thinner by repeated crisis calls, as your wallet grows lighter, and your days are eaten by emergencies that never quite seem to end, pause and picture this. The Stoic sage as the unflappable lifeguard. The sage waves from shore, offers a rope, but doesn't dive in every time someone yells, "Shark!" in a municipal kiddie pool. The sage knows boundaries build resilience. Limits show us where others' needs end, and our peace begins. Modern Stoicism isn't about locking your heart in a vault. It's about recognizing emotional Ponzi schemes in the wild. If every act of help leads you further into a labyrinth of fresh need, consider, are you rescuing them? Or are you seeking to be the hero in someone else's endless story? Maybe it's time to trade those buckets for a sturdy mug, one you fill for yourself, then use to toast your new favorite word. No, not out of coldness, but because even the most generous aquifer must say, that's enough. before it runs dry. So let them learn what they must, that their need, like a magic trick gone wrong, can't conjure endless rabbits from your hat. In the end, your energy is not an infinite resource. You are, as Seneca so elegantly shrugged, a being with edges. Guard your time. Guard your mind. Guard the boundary where your helpfulness stops and their growth begins. If they stumble, let them. After all, in the Stoic sleep hygiene handbook, putting down the bucket is an act of courage, and a lullaby for anyone too tired to keep bailing a sinking ship that's determined to stay at the bottom of the sea. This one wraps their misery like a cloak. Every bit of help is met with yes, but. Their difficulties become your difficulties. Their storms, your sleepless nights. Marcus Aurelius would remind you, suffering is not always a call for rescue. Sometimes it's a performance, carefully curated to keep your guilt as their servant. You know the type. The world is a treacherous storm, raining exclusively on their tiny personal parade. Coffee not hot enough? Injustice. Wi-Fi slow. Unlivable. Someone borrowed their stapler. Et tu, brute! Their life is a series of Roman tragedies, and you are cast as the crowd of sympathetic extras, gasping at every calamity. The victim is a master at making molehills into mountain ranges. If winning gold medals in Misery Olympics were possible, they'd have a trophy case that makes Michael Phelps look like an amateur. Stoicism asks us to separate what we can control from what we cannot. But the victim, they blur those lines like a watercolor painting caught in the rain. If you suggest a solution, they frown as if you've insulted the integrity of their ancient wound. Thank you, but you just don't understand. My stapler and I had a bond. Their identity is intricately woven with their suffering. To remove it would be like asking them to perform Hamlet, but without the tragic ending. Scroll through their social media. A parade of cryptic posts and vague complaints. Another day, another disappointment. You, caught in their orbit, feel the gravitational pull of obligation. You offer advice. You offer compassion. You offer snacks. Each is whisked away by the mighty hand of yes, but. It's performance art, suffering as a way of extracting attention, validation, and sympathy. Their problems demand a standing ovation, and if you don't clap, well, clearly you're just not supportive enough. Marcus Aurelius had a different suggestion. Pity is not a virtue unless it is coupled with wisdom. The victim, however, tries to convince you that dispensing endless comfort is your sacred duty. Their reality is an emotional escape room, and the only clues are written in invisible ink. Every time you think you're close to freeing them from their misery, they gently change the combination. Yes, but you forgot that Wednesday is also my unlucky day. Let us be gentle, though. Pain is human. Storms come for us all. But Stoicism, freshly laundered in the washing machine of modern psychology, teaches that suffering is not an identity. It's an experience, not a personality trait. The victim fears what lies on the other side of misery, personal responsibility, maybe even peace. If you stop bailing water from their endless, leaky boat, might they try paddling instead? By watching the victim, we glimpse our own shadow. How often do we dramatize our troubles, hoping for applause or sympathy? How easily do we turn legitimate suffering into a lifelong stage play? Stoic wisdom asks us not to mistake life's passing storm for our permanent address. Empathize, but don't unpack your bags in someone else's tempest. Remember, Marcus got through an actual plague without subtweeting his sorrows. You can probably survive Brenda's lunchtime rant. So, next time. The victim sighs before launching into Act 3 of the great stapler tragedy. Lift a silent eyebrow. Remind yourself, is this suffering a call for compassion, or just an encore performance? And, if you must, offer sympathy with the calm detachment of a Stoic statue, nodding quietly as the curtain falls. Now, breathe. You are not a cast member in someone else's epic of endless woe. You give them your hand, and they sigh with disappointment. You haven't done enough. They are always sacrificing, always keeping score. You wonder if kindness is a contest. Seneca warns us, true compassion has no scoreboard, but the martyr collects IOUs, waiting to brand you with your debts. Ah, the martyr. That friend or family member who turns generosity into a kind of social jiu-jitsu. You invite them over for tea, and suddenly you're being serenaded with stories of their latest heroic suffering. I made gluten-free muffins and hand-delivered them to my sick neighbor, even though I'm allergic to kindness and sunlight. Their voice trembles with the noble agony of having gone above and beyond. The implication? You, with your store-bought cookies, are but a civilian in the war of virtue. The martyr's eyes shimmer, not with joy, but with the pain of unrecognized sainthood. Stoics see this spectacle and chuckle. Marcus Aurelius, reclining in the ancient Roman equivalent of fuzzy slippers, would ask, why turn goodness into business? But the martyr loves the transactional. Every kind act is an entry in their spirit ledger. The sighs grow longer, heavier, as you continue to unknowingly accrue emotional debt. Perhaps you forgot their birthday, or worse, you only texted a GIF. In martyr math, you now owe compound interest, payable in the currency of guilt. Psychologically, martyr behavior is an elaborate mechanism for gaining validation. Like a magician who pulls grievances from thin air, they conjure scenarios where they're perpetually on the moral high ground. They might overextend themselves, overcommit, then lament that no one appreciates their sacrifices. There's always a subtle undertone. Look how much I do for you, and yet you remain a mere mortal. You sense the pressure, the gentle weaponization of guilt cloaked in a half smile. It's nothing really. I rearranged my whole week, postponed my dentist, and skipped my favorite show. But don't feel bad. You weren't feeling bad, but now your soul is shuffling apologetically, like someone tiptoeing through a library staffed by nuns. Stoicism offers a soothing escape hatch. Seneca, who probably would have left a martyr on red, invites us to act kindly, but expect nothing back, not even a thank you emoji. True good, he says, is self-contained, not subject to Yelp reviews or cosmic points. Generosity should be like breathing, a natural act, unnoticed, best left uncounted. In Seneca's world, the only scoreboard is self-mastery, not how many Sunday brunches you've hosted. Pause and imagine how freeing it is not to keep score. The martyr, meanwhile, is clutching their ledger, eyes wide in disbelief. But the Stoic gently closes that book and replaces it with a feather pillow. Sleep, dear martyr. Tomorrow you can wake up and simply do good. No receipts required. As you drift, imagine all the martyrs of the world letting go, their grand accounts fluttering away like confetti. The air's lighter and there's room to breathe. Perhaps one day, they too will discover the serenity of kindness done for its own sake, and the peaceful restoration that comes with living unburdened by emotional invoices. Until then, next time you spot a martyr, lend your forgiveness, not your guilt. And maybe, just maybe, send that GIF anyway. You step up to help, and suddenly your way is the wrong way. Your advice, your time, your choices. All subject to correction. They recruit your energy, but reject your agency. Epictetus would say, you cannot save someone determined to steer the ship into storms. But you try anyway, rewriting yourself around their orders. Picture yourself cohabiting with the controller, the benevolent dictator of dirty dishes, the micromanager of microwaves. Perhaps you are trying to cook a nourishing meal, but alas, you are doing it wrong. You cut the onions, but not on the sacred onion board. You stir the soup, but in the forbidden, non-sanctioned saucepan. Like a Stoic Sisyphus, every act of goodwill is rolled uphill, only to be met by that signature, suffering sigh of someone deeply disappointed in your mixing technique. The controller doesn't micromanage out of malice. Oh no, it's a performance of perpetual perfectionism. In their mind, only one channel leads to triumph, theirs. Household tasks become rituals demanding arcane precision, enforced by a frown that could shatter the resolve of Hercules. They ask for your help, yet only if it's a flawless extension of their will. Pour milk? Not like that. Fold towels? What is this? Modern art? Your towel looks more like a Jackson Pollock than Martha Stewart, lying here, listening to the gentle sounds of nocturnal existence. Perhaps some snoring or the faint hum of your air conditioner. Your thoughts drift. What compels someone to control every circumstance so fervently? The Stoics would say, it is the terror of chaos, the anxiety that life is disorderly and random, and only control will save us from the unknown. Marcus Aurelius, that famously chill emperor, wrote, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but your estimate of it. For the controller, life is one long estimate, and the math never quite checks out. Dealing with a controller is less about conflict management, more about the judo of relinquishing outcomes. The Stoics' secret move: radical acceptance. Imagine, for a moment, stepping back from your urge to resist or correct. See them as the little dictator in distress, frantically sandbagging the levees of certainty, lest the river of uncertainty flood their fortress. You, meanwhile, become an artist of indifference, not in the sense that you no longer care, but in the way a professional statue remains stoic while pigeons roost, unbothered, unmoved, maybe secretly laughing on the inside. To agree to help is noble. To let go when your help is policed. That's philosophy in action. You let their commands wash over your mind, like wind passing through pine trees. Noticed, but not clung to. If you find yourself lying in bed, chewing over that last micromanaged moment, don't worry. You are not alone in the night. You are accompanied by the billions of humans whose cookie jars have been inspected, whose thermostats have been adjusted, whose Netflix algorithms have been declared wrong. Breathe in, breathe out. The controller is not your opponent. Their quest for command over chaos is, ironically, evidence of their own distress. As you drift into sleep, remember Epictetus. Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. You can offer your patience, your humor, your strangely folded towels, but their storm is not your sea to steer. Let go, let laughter bubble up. The world's a little less controlled when you do, and your dreams flow freer for it. You wrestle them from the edge, only to see them sprint back faster. Every lifeline is a dare. You save them from consequences, and they build taller bonfires. The Stoics remind us, rescue can be an invitation to repeat catastrophe, but warriors like us, we keep throwing ropes into the storm. What does it mean, really, to be the eternal rescuer? To be on the shoreline, fashioning life preservers out of nothing but hope, duct tape, and the last shreds of your remaining sanity. There's always someone you care about drifting toward the rocks, dizzy with their private whirlpool of drama. You toss the rope, they say thank you, and then, 10 minutes later, they're sawing holes in their own canoe again. maybe even lighting fireworks on board, just for the thrill. It's a loop as old as human disappointment, and the world's least effective sitcom plot. The saboteur doesn't wear a villain's cape. No, they often have your face in the mirror, or the face of a friend, sibling, co-worker. They come in all forms. The friend who swears this time they'll set boundaries, then invites the chaos back in for a midnight margarita. The relative who repeats, last chance. So often you wonder if you misunderstood the calendar. The colleague who apologizes for missing deadlines while simultaneously adopting a new goldfish, piloting a hot air balloon, and learning Portuguese. Even if their hearts mean well, their actions are the grand opening of the self-destruction superstore. Everything must go, including their sense of self-preservation. Ancient Stoics understood, you can't make someone swim if they're intent on practicing synchronized sinking. Epictetus once said, if a person does not harm themselves, they cannot be harmed. It sounds a bit like an ancient version of stop hitting yourself, but the wisdom is clear. Those who sabotage themselves are beyond our rescue if their will isn't part of the lifeline. Still, it hurts to watch. Your brain invents improbable rescue scenarios at 2 a.m., starring you as the ever-patient fixer. Spoiler, in your sleep, you're still the only one sobbing on the shore. You wonder, when does compassion cross the line into enabling? Stoic psychology says, somewhere between I care and I carry you. Between wisdom and weary self-immolation. So, tonight, try this thought experiment. Picture yourself back in ancient Rome. You're at Seneca's dinner party, and someone spills their wine. Do you, A, leap heroically onto the table to soak it up with your toga, apologizing profusely? Or B, offer a mild joke and let them sort out their own grape-based chaos? Congratulations, you just unlocked Level 1 Stoic, boundaries. The saboteur needs to experience the effect of their own spilled wine. Not scorn or exile, just the honestly earned consequence. Because every time you mop up for them, you rewrite the script. No need to change, someone else will. Aristotle might not have known about your cousin's penchant for dating aspiring DJs, but he'd tell you, acting in their stead sacrifices both your tranquility and their growth. The self-destructive spiral is exhausting, yes, but every time you choose to observe rather than intervene, you send a silent message. I believe you are capable. Sometimes, loving detachment is the bravest act, far tougher than any beachside superheroics. It gives the saboteur space to realize their own power, or, at the least, to finally Google how to rescue myself. And yes, you both might get a little wet from the learning curve, but rest assured, no Stoic ever drowned in someone else's storm. They rewrite your service as harm. You reach out, they pull away, and blame you for the bruises. Your help becomes a weapon, your compassion a conspiracy. Seneca urges, do not anchor in shifting sands. Still, you keep explaining, defending, until your truth feels diluted. Ah, gaslighting, the funhouse mirror at the carnival of relationships. Only, instead of giving you a taller forehead, it makes you question whether you're standing on your own feet or simply floating on a guilt trip powered by their hot air. The gaslighter is the royal illusionist. You misunderstood what I said, is their abracadabra. That never happened, is their trapdoor. Maybe you were once a bold explorer, ready to chart the vast seas of connection. Now, you're clutching a compass that always points to self-blame. This is gaslighting's darkest magic, not the denial of facts, but the quiet alteration of your inner weather report. Skies that were once clear now get declared as thunderstorms. You reach for the comfort of your own emotional raincoat, only to be told the downpour is your imagination. Marcus Aurelius would remind us, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. But gaslighters operate with different manuals, and their instructions are written in invisible ink. Let's imagine, every time you make coffee, they complain it's too bitter. On the day you add an extra spoonful of sugar, they blink, offended you've ruined their strict, no-sugar diet. When you laugh at their joke, you're mocking. When you don't, you're cold. Welcome to the gaslighter's house of mirrors, where you could juggle fire, and they'd ask why you never learned to swim. And still, the stoic inside you begs for anchor. You try to reason, not realizing you're debating a cloud, only to learn clouds never lose. You present evidence, dates, messages saved in your metaphorical phone, and are greeted with the slyest of smiles. Stop being so sensitive. As Epictetus said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond. Easier quoted than lived when the gaslighter keeps shifting the mugs on the table and telling you you're imagining entire mugs. Perhaps you learned over time to doubt the truth living in your own bones. After hours of, did that really happen? And maybe I did overreact. Your mind becomes a well-worn echo chamber, each echo sounding less like you and more like them. The manipulator of reality not only reimagines the past, they also draft new blueprints for your present. Even your most basic instincts start to feel suspect. Did you overwater the plant again? Or was it always wilted? Is your memory the culprit? Or is your memory the only loyal thing left? Stoicism invites us to step back, to become the observer. In the slow exhale of mindful breath, you see the gaslighter's tactics are as old as drama itself. The Stoic does not wrestle with shadows or chase mirages. You start to unhook yourself from their narrative. Maybe tonight you will not defend your intent. Maybe tonight you watch their performance with the detached amusement of someone who finally recognizes a magician's sleight of hand. There goes the disappearing truth act again. Remember, gaslighters manipulate so you forget to trust yourself. But the Stoic path is a homecoming, a gentle reclaiming of your own mind's geography. Your reality is not up for negotiation. You are not a character in someone else's fiction. So, anchor your raft. Breathe in what remains steady. Know that your own experience, no matter how repeatedly erased, rewritten or ridiculed, is worthy of your loyalty. Let the gaslighter paddle their own sinking ship. You, my friend, have land to build. At first, it feels like kinship. But every favor you grant is pocketed, never acknowledged. The crisis becomes the center of your life, until your needs are an afterthought, even to yourself. Marcus Aurelius would ask, where does your responsibility end and theirs begin? But with the narcissist, the boundaries fade into hunger. Picture, if you will, a black hole in a Caesar haircut and expensive sneakers. The narcissist's gravitational pull is exquisite, subtle even. You find yourself rearranging dinner plans, rewriting emails more politely, apologizing for the rain, accidental weather deities, all of us. For once, you wish you could just blame Zeus and enjoy your salad. But instead, everything orbits their suffering, a never-ending crisis, uniquely catastrophic, like a tornado that exclusively targets brunch. You're so amazing, they say, when you cancel your own plans to help. But tomorrow, that favor will be forgotten. Your amazingness, temporarily validated, dissolved like a sugar cube in a hurricane. The Stoics warned about blown boundaries. Seneca might remark, we are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The narcissist's specialty is to reverse this. Your reality is their imagination. Their needs expand, vampire-like, as yours shrink until you begin to suspect your own desires are optional. Or perhaps just a phase. Good luck explaining to your cat that dinner must wait because Stacy just had a feeling at 7:47 p.m. and therefore needs a pep talk until sunrise. The narcissist is an expert in emotional inflation. Have you ever inflated a beach ball until it becomes both impressive and slightly terrifying? That's their self-esteem, puffed up by your constant emotional pumping. Keep going, they cheer. A few more breaths, until you're lightheaded and questioning whether you ever liked beach balls at all. Soon, you become a side character in your own Netflix special. Your job title downgraded to assistant to the main character, sometimes uncredited. Their problems, presented with Oscar-worthy dramatic flair, must be solved. Not by them, no, but by you, with that mysterious skill set you acquired simply by existing within a 100-yard radius. Marcus Aurelius would sigh, his meditations interrupted, scroll in hand. Let not another soul consume your own. Remember, even Rome had borders. But try setting a boundary with a narcissist. It's like drawing a chalk line against a tidal wave. How could you, they exclaim, after all I've done for you? You briefly scan your memory banks, wondering if all I've done is code for let you share my Wi-Fi that one time in 2019. Modern Stoicism teaches us the word no is a complete sentence. Imagine Epictetus's delight in seeing a well-formed boundary. There, look, a citizen of virtue wielding that rare shield, self-respect. The narcissist recoils, as if allergic to the mere idea. Why are you being mean, they say, weaponizing guilt with the precision of a Roman legionnaire. In the quiet, you start to rediscover your own voice. It stumbles, clears its throat, and remembers it enjoys books, rainy days, small victories. The narcissist, sensing your withdrawal, may up the ante. A grand, I'm lost without you performance, curtain call and all. Stay stoic, dear friend. Suffering cannot be borrowed, no matter how persuasive the creditor. Your only responsibility, Marcus reminds us, is to guard your own soul. Boundaries are not insults, but invitations for others to meet you on healthy ground. Or, in ancient terms, please return to your designated empire. Reclaim your empathy, your calendar, your sense of self. Leave the narcissist to orbit their own reflection. And for the love of Zeno, don't apologize for the rain. Help arrives, but only on their terms. You are measured, judged, found lacking. Mistakes, real or perceived, become ammunition. You are never enough, never quite right. The Stoic path is impartiality, but the martinet punishes all deviation. Their standards are moving targets painted on your self-esteem. Behold the martinet, not simply an overzealous rule follower, but a connoisseur of criticism, a sommelier of your shortcomings. For each crumb of kindness, you must first pass the labyrinthine trial of their expectations. The martinet doesn't just keep the bar high, they launch it into low Earth orbit and then critique your vertical leap. Imagine if Zeus handed out lightning bolts, not to mortals, but to those who use the wrong fork at dinner. Such is the martinet's thunderous discipline. Sleepy listener. If you've ever been caught in the orbit of one, you know their love comes with a manual the length of a Tolstoy novel, written in disappearing ink, with chapter titles like How You Disappointed Me. The martinet always offers constructive feedback, delivered with all the tenderness of a porcupine in a balloon factory. Stoicism says to accept only what we can control, but to the martinet, control must extend to your shoes, your size, the metaphysical angle of your eyebrows. Perhaps you once dared to colour outside their lines. A minute late, a shirt untucked, an unfiltered opinion. The martinet's alarm blares. Deviation detected. Initiating consequence protocol. Their punitive gaze could roast marshmallows. You might try to reason with them, but the martinet's logic runs on a rarefied fuel called "because I said so," which powers their entire emotional bureaucracy. The martinet isn't always loud. Sometimes their greatest weapon is the steely silence, that chilly absence of approval that hangs in the air like invisible icicles. You feel it when you bring home a B+ instead of an A, or when you take a risk and slip. Suddenly, the warmth recedes, replaced by the frosty governance of conditional love. Approval is currency. They're the central bank, minting or withholding it as the emotional economy demands. Maybe you try harder, convinced this time you'll unlock their affection, if only you decode their ever-shifting expectations. But understand this: to the martinet, perfection is a mirage. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, true tranquility lies not in external validation, but in mastering ourselves. The martinet's ledger will never balance. You can either chase it through a desert of disappointment, or stop running and start tending your own inner garden. Imagine a world in which you reply with calm, not compliance, in which you notice their criticism as thunder, but remember you are the mountain, unmoved, grounding yourself in what you know to be virtuous and good. Conditional love's terms and penalties become background noise. Accuracy, not approval, guides you. Tonight, if the martinet's echoes enter your dreams, waving red pens and issuing demerits, smile gently. Imagine presenting them with a gold star labeled "Nice Try," then frame it on your wall of boundaries. No storm lasts forever. With the clarity of Stoicism, you see, their laws were never law. Their conditions are not your compass. Breathe out. Be enough as you are. You rearrange your life to save them. They vanish at the moment of real effort. Worst of all, you blame yourself for their absence. Rehearse imaginary failings. Lose sleep for someone who was never really there. The Stoics remind, you are responsible for the purity of your own intent, not the results. But the mirage keeps you captive with hope. The mirage is skilled in illusion, a Houdini in emotional camouflage. Picture this. You pencil them into your calendar, move appointments, even reschedule that highly anticipated evening of binge-watching documentaries about penguins in Patagonia. Instead, you end up alone with leftover popcorn, the faint hope of a text, and the numbing company of your own overthinking. What happened? The mirage happened. With an acrobat's ease, they slip out of plans, leaving nothing but a faint trace, like glitter in a carpet, impossible to remove, always catching the light at odd moments. Your mind becomes the national park of pretexts. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe they forgot. Maybe I'm asking too much. The Stoics have a word for this. Prohoresis, the power of your own rational choice. Why do we give this power away, placing our emotional well-being in the trembling hands of a part-time magician? Seneca might have said, "It is not that we have too little time, but that we waste much of it, giving encores to an invisible audience." The real disappearing act. It's not them vanishing, it's you disappearing into a maze of self-doubt and misplaced accountability. You start faithfully rehearsing every move, like an actor auditioning for a play that's already closed. If only I'd said less. If only I'd tried harder. If only I'd worn the blue sweater instead of the one with the suspicious salsa stain. The mirage's greatest trick is making their absence your problem, not theirs. And so you search for footprints that never existed, analyzing ghostly breadcrumbs, certain that silence means you're at fault, not that the other was never truly present. Meanwhile, out walk the philosophers in their sandaled glory, waving scrolls and eyebrows. Remember, attachment to what is not yours, whether time, attention, or affection leads to suffering. Epictetus, standing in the corner like a slightly judgy coach, reminds you, you control your actions, not anyone else's devotion, calendar, or texting habits. And somewhere, Marcus Aurelius meditates, gently reminding, don't tie your happiness to the whims of those who treat time as a low-budget magic trick. Yet, hope is stubborn. It tap dances on the edge of logic, insisting, maybe tomorrow they'll appear, maybe this time it'll be different. But hope, when hooked to another's inconsistency, becomes a carnival mirror, reflecting endless versions of your own confusion. Here's the Stoic truth, blinking neon in the midnight fog. If someone becomes less available the moment you need them, it's not an invitation to run faster. It's a sign to turn inward, polish the glass of your own intent, and remember that self-worth does not ask for permission or applause. So tonight, instead of pacing the house looking for texts that never arrive, practice the ultimate disappearing act. Vanish from the stage of manufactured longing. Take up space in your own story. Reclaim the energy reserved for orchestrating rescues no one asked for. Starring in narratives that only exist in the special effects department of your mind. Stoicism isn't about banishing hope. It's about untangling it from illusion. The next time the mirage drifts in, bow gracefully, step away from the trapdoor, and let vanishing acts be someone else's magic trick. Sleep, as the Stoics do, knowing your part is played with purpose, not with desperate improvisation. No drama, no accusations, just passive withdrawal, silent judgment, heaviness that seeps into the air. You amplify your giving, chasing warmth in a glacier. But the shadow feeds, not on help but on power. The power to alter your mood with their silence. Epictetus tells us, do not chain your well-being to another's weather. Still, you freeze, waiting for approval that will never come. Picture it, you're painstakingly serving up all your best smiles like a poorly paid emotional barista. You offer support, encouragement, and kindness, each one greeted with the enthusiasm of a houseplant. Silence fills the room. Maybe it's not angry silence, but it's chilly all the same. This is the work of the shadow, the expert in emotional cold fronts, the Houdini of healthy communication. If Stoicism teaches anything, it's that your internal state does not need to rise and fall on the tide of another's temperament. But let's be honest, it's hard to remember that delicate fragment of philosophy when you're marinating in their quiet disapproval, huddled in your parka of anxiety, fingers frostbitten from endless attempts to defrost the room. You reassure, you check in, you walk on eggshells. Still, there's a yawning gap between the affection you offer and the iciness returned. The shadow specializes in passive resistance. They are masters of silent rebuke. No messy words, no slammed doors, just the perfectly calibrated silence that says, you will work for my warmth. This trick works so well because it invites you to become a detective, a mind reader, and an emotional contortionist, bending yourself further for the barest flicker of positive feedback. Spoiler alert, that flicker never comes. Night after night, you trade your serenity for short-lived reassurance, bargaining away peace for something that shouldn't be transactional. Consider Marcus Aurelius, who faced the endless complexities of court intrigue, betrayals, and icy receptions, yet trained himself to look behind the shadowy behaviors of others. He wrote, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. In other words, don't let someone else's frostbite spread. Don't inherit their chill and pass it along like bad weather. You might wonder, what if the shadow needs help? What if they're in silent pain? Here's a Stoic plot twist. Compassion and self-sacrifice are distant cousins. Compassion says, I see your suffering and hold space for it. Self-sacrifice says, let me set myself on fire to keep you warm. Guess which one the Stoics would vote for? Compassion. Every time. With a warm blanket for yourself. Some shadows hope to be understood without ever saying a word. They train your empathy like a high-jumping dog at a circus. A little higher, a little better until you forget what the ground feels like. But if you give up your peace in this pursuit, you become a performer in their private theatre. The applause is always quiet, and the exit doors are locked from the outside. There is no virtue in draining yourself to maintain someone else's rain cloud. Seneca might chuckle kindly and remind you, you must live for yourself. Not in selfishness, but in wise stewardship of your own mind. Be the lighthouse, not the ship tossed about by someone's invisible storm. Your stability is the kindness, both to yourself and to those who might someday wish to reach the shore. So, you've met them. Not villains, but warning flares. Reminders of where compassion can turn to self-destruction. The Stoic way is not to stop helping, but to help wisely. Discern whose pain wants healing, and whose pain just wants an audience. Your virtue is not the same as your value to others. You don't sacrifice your peace to prove your worth. You protect your peace to honor it. Warriors like us walk quietly among storms, immune to the chaos that once beckoned us. Rest in the dignity that comes from wise detachment. You cannot mend what does not wish to be whole. Tonight, stop chasing. Let go. You already are the proof. Walk quietly. Walk free. So, you've met them. Not villains, but warning flares. Reminders of where compassion can turn to self-destruction. The Stoic way is not to stop helping, but to help wisely. Discern whose pain wants healing, and whose pain just wants an audience. Your virtue is not the same as your value to others. You don't sacrifice your peace to prove your worth. You protect your peace to honor it. Warriors like us walk quietly among storms, immune to the chaos that once beckoned us. Rest in the dignity that comes from wise detachment. You cannot mend what does not wish to be whole. Tonight, stop chasing. Let go. You already are the proof. Walk quietly. Walk free.